Hey guys, Mr. Farrell here. So this is going to be day 3 of our water bead lab. So the day 1, we showed you the water beads. We put them in fresh water and we got our initial measurements. Day 2 was kind of a transition day. So day 2, we saw what happened to the water beads after we put them in fresh water. We got the results, and then we set them up for the second question. So what would happen to the cells if they were put in salt water? So day 3 is our results for what happened when we put them in salt water. So clicking into the lab. So if we go down, so we did day 1. This was your right here was your prediction for what did you think was going to happen to the water beads in the fresh water. Day 2, we made observations. What did they look like after they got out of the fresh water? What type of solution? Hypertonic, hypotonic, isotonic? Which one of those 3 solutions was the fresh water? Okay, and then we made a prediction for the what they would look like in the salt water. So if you haven't done those things, pause the video before you see the results. Now, looking at our results here, let me kind of show you our results. So this is our results after we put them in salts. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see a little bit of salt there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up to our data table. We're going to get our results. So I'm going to mask the cup. Okay. All right, so we got a little bit of a change. So 193.78 grams. Okay, so a little bit of a change. This might have been just spilling at one point. I did kind of move it around a little bit. It might have been a little bit of evaporation. So that's okay though. Because really what we're concerned about is we're concerned about this part right here, the beads mass. So you can see obviously they got smaller. So we're not expecting it to be 142 grams. We're probably expecting it to be a little bit less. Now, I don't know. These weren't as big. These are bigger than what we had when we put them in the beginning. So they're probably not going to be 2 grams, but we'll see. So in order to do this, I'm going to have to pour off the water. And there's a little bit of salt, so I'm going to have to rinse out this. I'm going to have to rinse it a couple times and get the salt out. And so we're going to work on doing that. So, like I said, I'm going to stir it up a little bit. That way I can hopefully get some of the salt in this water because there's still some salt in the cup. And so I'm going to kind of stir it up, see if I can get some of the salt in here. That way when I pour it off, we'll have some of the salt that's hanging around the water, not hopefully at the bottom of the cup. So I still have some salt at the bottom of the cup, so I'm going to rinse it. So just a couple times. Oops. Get a couple more. Dropped a couple beads here. So I'm going to rinse it. I got my beads back. I'm going to try to get rid of some of the salt, if possible. Just a couple more times. Okay, we'll do it one more time to get rid of any more salt that we got here. So there's a little bit more salt left, but I think this last rinse we did will get the salt. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna kind of dry off the cup because we don't want any of that extra water there. So got some water just hanging around the outside of the cup and stuff like that. So if we look, okay, there's our beads. Now it says 31.65. So that isn't quite the beads because that's the beads in the cup. Now I know the cup is 9.53 grams. So I'm going to subtract my weight, my mass on the scale. So 31.64 minus the 9.53, and that's going to give me 22.11 grams. Um, and that should make sense. It's not quite as big as what we had, or they're a little bigger in the beginning. They're not quite as small as what we had in the beginning, but they did shrink down quite a bit. So they did shrink down quite a bit, which is good. That's kind of what we were. Hopefully, that's what you were expecting. Now, so coming down here, all right, we have our data. So coming down here, let's talk about the CER. So looking at the claim, the evidence, the reasoning, you're going to do a couple of things. First thing is you're going to fill in this blank here and this blank here. So the words you're going to use for this is either hypertonic, hypotonic, or isotonic. So you may say the plain water was a hypertonic environment or a hypotonic or an isotonic environment. Same thing here. Hypertonic, hypotonic, or isotonic. Now, down here at the evidence, you're going to have to highlight this word or this word. So whatever you did, okay, so what did the beads do when we put them in fresh water? If you don't remember, go back to the first video and the second video. So, if I think that they shrank, I'll hit shrank, and then I'm going to need to put a number here. So we'll just write, we'll just put numbers there. Now, that's not really the number, but you get the idea. And same thing here. I will highlight one of these things, and then I will put a number there as well. Okay. Now, going to the reasoning. So the reasoning says the plain water was a blank tonic solution. So this is going to be hyper, hypo, or isotonic. So hyper, hypo, iso. That's the first thing. Causing this water to diffuse. Well, which way did water go? Did it go into the cell? Did it go out of the cell? And the cell and on this blank, you would put what happened to the cell. Did it get bigger? Did it get smaller? Did it stay the same size? And then you'll do the same kind of thing for the salt water. So the salt water was a hyper, hypo, isotonic solution. Down here, causing water to diffuse which way? Into or out of the cell. And then here, this would cause this and the cell to get bigger, get smaller, stay the same size. Okay, so once you make sure you got every part of your lab done, make sure you fill in your data table as well. And once you have your lab completed, you can hit the turn in button and you got it turned in. So hopefully you don't have any problems. If you have any problems, let me know.